I'm Connor from JourneyToSimple.ca. Welcome to our second video of our 3-video series on traveling light. In our first video, we talked about the best piece of luggage or the best bag to use when traveling. And again, for me, traveling light is packing everything you need to take in one carry-on bag. Today we're going to talk about what we're going to pack in that bag. And I'm going to use an example of a trip my husband and I went on last year to Newfoundland, Canada. Everything on the table here is everything that I brought on our 2-week trip to Newfoundland. So I'm going to go through some of the questions you should ask yourself when deciding what you should pack and give you some tips when it comes to packing to ensure you're traveling light. So the first question we're going to talk about is, what will I be doing at my destination? So in my example, this was a trip, it was a holiday for us, and we knew that we would go hiking. So a few of the things I made sure I packed were some hiking shoes, a hat, a lightweight pair of pants that would dry quickly for doing things like hiking. We also knew that we would be doing some sightseeing, maybe going to a couple of museums, maybe going shopping a little bit. So I had a few casual clothing items, t-shirts, a pair of jeans, things like that. We also knew that we wanted to go out for at least one really nice dinner while we were in Newfoundland. So I did bring an outfit to wear to a nice restaurant, and that's this dress here, and so then I brought a nicer pair of shoes to wear to that as well. Also, I knew that if we went out for more than one nice dinner, nobody would know except us if I wore the exact same thing. So that's something to keep in mind in general when you're packing. The second question I want you to think about is, what will the weather be like at my destination? Because that will really impact what you pack. And I think this trip to Newfoundland is a great example because looking ahead at what weather we might get, we knew that it could be anywhere from -5 degrees Celsius to +15 or +20 degrees Celsius. We went to Newfoundland at the end of June. We also knew that it could rain a lot and that we may have to choose to do some of our outdoor activities when it was raining. We also knew that we wanted to go on some boat trips, which could be windy. So we packed for a wide variety of weather options. Last minute, I ended up deciding to bring this down vest, which really helped in the end. I also packed a rain jacket, things like that. So you really need to think about what's the weather going to be like when I'm on this trip. The third thing I want you to think about, and for me this is a key question when you're traveling by plane, is what will I wear on the plane? To me, choosing what you will wear when you're on the plane can significantly impact the amount of things you end up packing. And this pile over here is everything that I wore on the plane. And for me, a big thing about what you're going to wear when you're traveling on a plane is pick some of your heavier, bulkier items and wear them instead of packing them. So as an example, I wore my hiking shoes on the plane. I wore a pair of jeans on the plane instead of my lighter weight pants. I wore a wool jacket covered by my rain jacket on the plane. A long sleeve shirt, a tank top with a built-in bra, and a scarf. So all of these pieces were things I could use throughout the rest of my trip, but I wore them on the plane to make packing easier. Same with my hat, I wore that on the plane, a pair of wool socks. So to me, what you wear on the plane is significant. That's a key question when it comes to packing light. Choose to wear your heavier, bulkier items on the plane. And then you'll wear the same thing on the way back when you're traveling back. A few tips I want to go over though when it comes to narrowing your list. Because you may be looking at these items and think, well, why are there so few items? Why didn't you bring more items? And for me, there's a couple things to keep in mind. First of all, bring items that are suitable for travel. So what I mean by this is bring some clothing that you can wash in the sink. Now, I already had multiple pieces of clothing like this in my wardrobe. An example of that would be clothing made out of washable merino wool. So all of the socks I brought on the trip were made out of merino wool and could be washed in the sink and hung to dry overnight. Several of the shirts that I brought on this trip were also made out of merino wool, and I could just wash them in the sink. And that's partially what I included in my carry-on luggage, being my only luggage. Here in my toiletry bag, I have little packages of laundry detergent so that I could do that in the sink without any problem. Also, think about things that won't easily wrinkle. So as an example, we knew we wanted to go out for a nice dinner, so I wanted to bring something nice to wear, and this dress is made out of a material that won't wrinkle. So it was packed in my bag for a week and a half before I wore it, and I didn't have a single problem. Another thing to think about when you're thinking about travel-friendly items is what can I use more than once, okay? So an example would be this bag I use to put my iPad charger in and my jewelry in, but then I also use it as my nicer handbag to go with me when I went out for a nice dinner with my husband. So those are things to keep in mind for sure. Another great tip is if you're going to be gone for more than a week, just plan on going to a laundromat during that time. That way you really lift the burden of having to bring enough clothes to wear something different every day. And again, when I'm talking about how merino wool can be washed in the sink, another great thing about merino wool clothing is that it can also be worn for multiple days and still smell and feel fresh. Another couple of items I'll point out here that were really important and really come in handy when it comes to packing light are sports bras. So for me, I only bring sports bras when I travel. And I know that's not an option for everyone, but for me it really makes packing light easy and getting everything into a bag easy. This bag right here that's kind of smushed up, this is actually a backpack that you can fold into this little pouch. So I brought this knowing I would take it hiking and things like that. If you are thinking that this is okay, but you'd rather have something more like a purse, I recommend bringing like a decorative canvas tote bag or something like that because it can pack in easily with your clothing. I'd like to point out the toiletry bag I have here. So essentially my questions were, can I wash my face? Can I brush my teeth? Do I have sunscreen? That's the biggest piece when it comes to the toiletries that I brought, my toothbrush being over here. And in reality, I know that some people may watch this and say, well, what about my makeup? What about my hair dryer? Things like that. Like I said, this is an example of an actual real-life trip I went on and what I brought. I don't wear makeup, and I tend to not really do anything with my hair other than tie it back. Now, in our last video when we talked about options for carry-on luggage, one of those options I included was your standard roller carry-on bag. For those of you who want to bring those additional items you don't see here, you'll still be able to pack light, but that roller bag may be your best option. And we'll look at that a little bit more when we have our next video on how to pack all of these items. So for a complete list of the items you see here, go to journeytosimple.ca and I'll have a list of everything that you see here. And please join us for our third video on how to pack all of this into your favorite piece of luggage. Have a great day.